Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Time is just gone 8:38 a.m. as we continue this morning, and we're going across now to be joined by Amir Muhammed Gadimang, Ward 29 candidate in Benoni. Amir, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Juma Mubarak and welcome.
Juma Mubarak. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, now interesting, you're standing in my part of the world out in Ekurhuleni in Benoni, Ward 29 as an Jama-ah candidate. Just looking ahead at obviously the elections, but also your decision to stand now as a candidate for the upcoming local government elections.
Indeed, it was a tough call for me to have accepted the candidacy for Jama-ah. But I saw it as a good cause, as a good calling for me and I availed myself because I've realized that as Muslims, we are actually standing in the periphery while our people are facing a lot of injustices, lack of service delivery, a lot of challenges with infrastructure development, with crime, drugs, housing, provision of water and healthcare and all of that. And I realizing that it can't really help for us to be standing by the sideways and we shouting for the government to correct if we are not going to be players into this. So that driven and motivated by service to mankind, I accepted and I availed myself to contest for the election in Benoni.
Ward 29, which areas in Benoni does it involve, Amir?
This is Actonville area. It involves Actonville and certain part of Benoni as well.
Yes, well, we know the area well. So, we've basically grown up in that area. Now, just looking at, obviously, strategically, Jama-ah obviously has placed itself in many areas as well, and for the very reasons that you speak about in terms of why, this is absolutely important. As far as, you personally, yourself, and you obviously have got certain personal ambitions, and that is mainly to provide the type of service that we residents or people of the area actually need. Just looking at looking at your campaign and your campaigning model that you are going to be using in the build up to the elections.
Look, I'll be using a lot of Facebook campaign. I'll be using a lot of social media, the WhatsApp messages, email campaigns. Because of this COVID, it may not be advisable or it may not be easy for one to really visit other people's house. I mean, I'll go in one house and then go to another one. It's going to be another thing. So we'll try to use as much as possible of the online campaign or pop-up campaigns, Google Ads, and all of that. We will try to be as innovative as possible and have some pull-up banners, do some blitzing in the area, try to visit a lot of masjids and distribute our pamphlets on Juma days in this masjid, trying to have some hankas in this masjid if the trustees of the masjid allows us to try and have our messages. Having a conversation like this on Salam Media, it gives us that platform, and these are some of the ways that we wish and we hope to implement. And looking at the time, we've got only about 6 weeks to the election. And we're hoping that the method that we'll put in place should be able to assist us moving ahead. But even if we do not emerge as victorious or as councillors, I think going ahead, since one has taken a conscious decision to be active in politics now, one will continue to engage broadly Muslim community and South African community in general, and to try and find a ways of getting the government being accountable, coming up with programs that will assist the community through the health self method, so that even if we do not emerge now, we must continue to govern because we are the government. We do not need to be sitting in the offices for us to be governing, but we need to begin to take the responsibility and taking South Africa, following what our forebears have done. They have taken the responsibility to change the status quo then. We need to take the responsibility now to change the status quo for the betterment of our progenies.
Yes. Now, I think what is also very important to understand is, okay, we know that you are contesting on behalf of the Al Jama party, which is a political party. But when it comes to local government elections, we need to differentiate between politics and bread and butter issues, day-to-day issues. Because when you're standing as a councillor for local government elections, this is what the expectation is, that you need to provide services. So there, it's there's a big difference from being represented, say, in national government versus a councillor in local government.
True, very true on that. Look, one of the things that one must be able to say, yes, it's a service delivery issues that needs to be done. But one would have to understand that as a councillor, say, for Ward 29, I may not be able to provide services. I may not be able to be all over the places as one would have wished to be. But for the participation or for the involvement of the community, it would make it easier for one to be able to tap. I become a resource person between the council itself and the community. Say, for an example, there's a sewer or there's a cut of electricity in one section of Actonville. It is the responsibility of the community to let me know what is happening, for me to direct the queries to the department relevant that's supposed to be done. If that department is administration, they are not able to do that. In council, how do we then come and look in the issues of the bylaws, and how do we then come up with the programs and systems that are going to get the officials accountable in that particular space? Even if it means on my own, say for an example, I happen to be the councillor, I call the MMMC or the head of the department responsible for that on site where the problem is. This is how you are able to bring the services to the people. Basically, you're becoming an advocacy on behalf of the community on issues of service delivery, but to keep the council generally accountable. I mean, if you look at the stats of Ekurhuleni, they've issued some study that says in the last 5 years, they have spent about 500 million rand on bursaries. You've got about 4 million people registered in Ekurhuleni, less than 2 million people registered voters. And we are told out of 4 million, you've got almost around 400,000 people that are, which is about 10% of the population that are the graduates at university level. I mean, how much money you spend in 500,000, which is $500 million, in 5 years, 100 million on a yearly basis. Does this money filter down to the community? These are some of the things that we need to be able to come down and begin to engage, begin to speak around. And here we are not even talking about people that are able to go to universities, do not qualify for these bursaries. We're not talking about NSFAS. We are talking about the beneficiaries that are directly benefiting from the Ekurhuleni budget. And this is the reports that are there from the municipality itself. Now, this is a bit of a problem. So we need to stand up as the community and be able to engage. We need to talk about the issue of this delivery. If you look at Benoni, it is not what it used to be yesterday. How do we stand up and make sure that the economy of Benoni becomes to be what it is? In the area of Actonville, you look at a lot of the industrial areas. The factories have been abandoned. They are not as effective as they used to be. How do we come back and effect this as a service delivery, trying to forge a partnership with provincial and national government and bring around the issue of economic development? Because there are budgets that are available for local economic development. They need to be driven by the local municipalities. In this case, it's a councillor. These are some of the things to say. If proposals are coming and people are genuinely want to create employment, to deal with the issues of equitable distribution of wealth, how do we then facilitate and ensure that the national departments that have budgets are able to come down to the localities to make sure that we are going to resuscitate those factories and provide much needed job opportunities to the people in the area, inshallah.
Well, inshallah, in fact, there's just so much that we can actually unpack, but I'm sure, Amir, as time goes by, as the campaigning obviously becomes a lot more intense as well, and in the build-up to the local government elections, I'm sure we certainly will be engaging a lot more, but unfortunately, time has run out, but for now, we wish you all the best. Have yourself a wonderful Juma. All the best to you in your endeavors as well. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome. Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, for the interview.
Access to clean water could save thousands of lives each day. With proper sanitation and easy